Ladies and gentlemen, recorded live in beautiful Victoria, BC, it's the Sonny Starr Show. All right, we're back with another episode of my bullshit. I'm your host, Sonny Starr, baby. What are we talking about? Well, the last two episodes totally fell flat on their face. You know, I reached out. I have friends all across the country, and I had put messages out, asking like, hey, anyone want to, from different parts of the country, anyone want to talk about what's going on with the virus, what it's like in your city? And everyone was like, yes, everyone was on board. I had like 20 different people who were like, yeah, fucking yes, sign me up, man. I got shit to say. And then, there was some logistical things I had to figure out, some technology things to figure out. And it took a couple days. And in those few days, I think everybody just got so sick and tired about hearing about this virus that no one wanted to talk about it anymore. Now I can't get anybody on the show. So we had two great episodes with from Halifax and then Dartmouth. And I mean, I had other ones lined up all across the country, but they all just kind of fizzled out. Nobody wants to talk about this shit anymore, man. No one wants to think about it. The rules have gotten stricter. People are on total lockdown. There are spots in the country, and I'm just going to talk about it now myself, because I was saving a lot of the shit I wanted to say and talk about to go with different guests from different places. And one of the things they had set up was in New Brunswick, they had set up a snitch line. So you could snitch on your neighbor if you saw them not distancing, or if you saw businesses that you think should have been closed, you could call the snitch line. And you know what they say, snitches get stitches, or snitches in ditches, or snitches are, I don't know, some kind of saying like that. Anyways, so I mean, getting your fellow man or fellow woman to, rat on each other. I mean, that is some devious bullshit that the government set up to do shit like that. That's what I think about it. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's some people I'm sure it helped in like a couple, maybe two instances. Maybe there's two businesses, maybe two or three that should have probably closed who didn't. And then I know there's companies that are like not treating their employees fairly. They're not giving you that like hazard pay. A lot of places are doing the hazard pay, and then some places are not. So that's like a thing, and you want to like, if you got people on the front line going out like that, you should be like rewarding them for what they're doing for you. They're making you profit. You're not even paying them what they really should be paid in the first place. I mean, everybody in the whole country baseline should make $15 an hour. I would never ask somebody to do anything. There's nobody anywhere I would ask you to do anything for any less than $20 an hour. Like, you gonna mow my lawn? Well, that's $20 for an hour. Anything someone's gonna do for me should be like at least $20. Like, honestly. I mean, you're a person, your time is worth something, man. Your expertise and knowledge, it's all worth something. And even if you don't have expertise or knowledge, you're still doing the thing that I'm not willing to do. So it's like, come on, there is value placed on all kinds of things. Anywho's yeah, so the snitch line was set up and used to an extent. And I guess that wasn't enough, because if you look at, I was reading, and I only have news articles to go by here, guys, so I don't know, maybe some of this is clickbait, fake news, but I was reading from what are supposedly credible sources, like, you want to trust like CBC, and you want to trust like Global, and I know Sun Media is a piece of shit, but you kind of hope that their journalistic integrity is being upheld in all of this. And, it seems like that's not the case, though. And I know when they were talking about this, like, free government money they want to hand out, well, I would read from all these different, like, accredited news sites, CTV, like being another one, you would read articles submitted by their journalists who were telling you one thing and like one number and amount and how you're going to get it. And then there's going to be all these loopholes you got to jump through. And then you go to another site from a different reporter. And I feel like each of these reporters, when they're doing these like blog posts, I think they're being considered opinion pieces. I think they're not. I don't think CBC is, or any of these news agencies are really like, they're not asking for any sources or anything. I think they're just calling them all opinion pieces at this point. And so when you say like, oh, I read an article, it's like, well, that's some journalist's opinion, basically, because you'll read pretty much the same information, but all the numbers would be like misconstrued. So the next on Global, they had a whole different set of numbers, and these are all the things you're going to have to do. And it was a lot of it was like shock factor and trying to scare you into thinking like, oh my God, the government's going to audit me. Oh, they're going to audit all my friends. And there's all this like talk going around. And you go to another news agency and they would say, no, none of that's happening. You're just going to sign up and you're going to get a bunch of free money. And then later on in the same day, you would go to the same news agencies, and all their numbers and dates and facts would all have been changed again because another new reporter would have done their opinion piece. And I mean, that's kind of like, unfortunately, that's like all we have to go by. So like, you can like kind of like read all of them and then just kind of pick the common denominator, the common facts from all of it, and that's probably the truth. And just get rid of all the other shit. And then, so anyways, this is what I have to go by for news. And they were saying, one of these agencies were saying that in Newfoundland, the police have already been out writing $700 fines if they catch you out in public when you're not supposed to be out, or if you out joyriding with your buddy and y'all don't live in the same house, and they're going to pull you over and you're going to show ID. And if your ID doesn't match up, you're going to get a fine. And then in some cases, people are even going to prison. And like, yo, right now, prison is not a place you want to go with that Rona out there. That Rona is just roaming out there, roaming around. And when that shit gets into a prison, like there's a prison here in BC that just they totally locked it down, and they said no more visitation. No one is in, no one is out. This is it. It's fucking locked down. And then one of the guards who was allowed to leave and come back, he went out and caught it and brought it back and infected a whole bunch of inmates and other guards, and the whole thing just spread like fucking wildfire. And it happens like that. Like, this is zombie movie apocalypse kind of shit, yo. And so you really got to be careful. And I understand why they need to lock it down. And my dad sent me this picture the other day of World War II, and there's these soldiers are walking through a field of landmines, and he's carrying a donkey on his shoulders. And it says something in the write-up, like, no, they don't just love donkeys or anything, that they don't need some ass blowing them up because he doesn't know any better. And it's kind of like, yo, that's kind of like, I understand there are some provinces with a lot of like redneck hillbilly people who are like problem people who are really gonna, they're not gonna take this seriously, and they're just gonna run out and not follow the rules. So those provinces have really been locked down, like really strictly. It's turning into martial law. It's getting really bad. And I feel fortunate because where I'm at in BC, they kind of trust us a little better. They kind of trust people to be a little bit more highly educated here. They trust these people are going to do the right thing. I live in a place where the Green Party wins all the time. They know we're environmentalists, so they haven't locked down the parks, but everybody is totally distancing. I mean, there is a lot of people out at the parks right now, running and jogging. They're not bringing their kids. No one's you can't sit on a picnic table. They've got yellow police caution tape all over the picnic tables and all over the play parks, and you can't access that. Even the garbage cans, you can't use the garbage cans. You can't use anything anywhere. You can you're allowed to walk and run on the trail, and then that's it. So that's what's happening here in British Columbia. So, anywho, I'm sitting at a park right now. This is kind of like my hangout spot in the daytime. I love it here. I love seeing the green. I love seeing nature. I love opening my windows and having all that awesome, rainforest air just kind of blowing through here, getting refreshing everything. It feels good. You want that D, you want that D, you want that vitamin D in your face coming through. You need that shit. It's good for the immune system. Not only that, I take because I have a mostly vegan lifestyle, so I take vitamin D supplements on top of that. And we're all just out here trying to do our part, man. Just trying to do what we can do. And we don't want this to get to a martial law state out here either, where it's going to get locked down. And I kind of don't think it will, because just by the nature of there being so many ultra rich billionaires who live here who just are not going to put up with that shit. They're like, no, I'm walking my fucking dog. I have a $10,000 dog and I'm going to walk it in the park that I just donated, $100,000 to this park last year. I'm fucking walking in my park that I bought. So there's a lot of people like that who like really contribute a lot to the nature and the environment. And I'm just praying, man, that, it doesn't get to the point like it is in those other provinces where they've got it locked down, man, locked down. And, yeah, so anyway, it sucks that no one wants to talk about it on my show, and I'm going to be doing a solo cast for today to keep this ball rolling. For anyone who doesn't know, this is out on YouTube. If you want to look at my face while I'm saying stuff, you can look at my face as I sit here in my little sound booth. My van is one of the, automobiles are a great sound booth for people who are out there recording podcasts. I used to record a lot of them in my van with guests, not in my van, in my car back in the day on the old, the J. Cole show. And, I would just show up, we'd get a guest, we would set up the equipment in the front here, and that was it. We just sit and, it's a comfortable room. You can open the window and smoke a joint. I mean, no one's smoking now. I even quit smoking weed, I quit. I was like, you know what? I don't think smoking is something that my body wants right now in this current climate. Maybe again someday in the future, but I don't know. And I still do these weed cleanses. I'm doing 30 days right now. I had my little bit of coconut oil infused with some cannabis. I ate a couple spoonfuls of that the other night. On the weekend, actually, for 2 days, I had that and just kind of like chilled out in nature. And, and when you don't use cannabis for 30 days, holy fuck. When you get back on that cannabis train, holy shit, it's like the first time all over again. And, I took it easy though. I took it super easy. I didn't want to green out. Took a small amount, a very small amount, like a teaspoon, a measured teaspoon amount. And I just kind of like ate that. And then, after 30 minutes, I was like, all right, okay. And I took another just tiny little doses like that over the night. And I probably ate maybe 2 tablespoons by the time the night was over. And I was feeling it, man. I was feeling it. I was flying high. I was like, I'm glad I don't have to drive anywhere. I'm glad I have like just this time to be out in nature, and everything got brighter and more vivid and more clear. And it kind of had this like wavy, watery, liquid kind of feel, almost like you're underwater maybe a little bit. And that was kind of cool. A sense of euphoria, a sense of grounded, no paranoia whatsoever, because I believe, paranoia is not a thing that ever happens to me on cannabis, because I gave it up. I quit it. It's a thing that I quit doing, like, I'm probably saying like 15 years ago, I quit being paranoid. I took it out of my mind because all my friends would like smoke weed and get all paranoid. Oh man, oh, the cops are coming, man. Oh shit. And I was like, this is fucking not a good time, Y'all are stressing me the fuck out. Like, get away from me. I don't want to hear about this bullshit about, oh, someone's coming. Like, no one fucking knows we're in here. We're sitting in a car. We're out in the middle of the forest. And, I would have friends who would like, let's go smoke a joint. I'm like, all right. And we would get in a car and drive for 45 minutes out into the forest, out on some old ass dirt road somewhere to smoke a joint and get out of the car because they don't want their car to stink, and walk like another 20 minutes down into the dark forest. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, if we would have taken my car, we would have sat in your parking lot in the driveway and smoked the weed in my fucking car, because I put paranoia out of my head a long time ago. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not something I want in my life. I don't like this feeling. It's a choice. You don't have to do this. And I just put it in my head that I'm not doing anything wrong. Every time I smoked weed, it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm using medicine. I'm using a plant that's natural from the earth. And this is back when it was totally illegal, like illegal as fuck, like you're going to jail. And I just put it out of my head. And that's what you got to do, man. You got to get rid of those vibrations. And that's with everything that I've ever done that's been illegal in my whole life. Like, I have driven with some shit, you know, in my car. I have been places. I have done some things that have been like what are considered like pretty fucking bad. And you just put that out of your head, man. Like, you put it out. Like, back in the day, I'm saying, like, when I was a kid, like 18 years old maybe, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but whatever. I fucking made money. I printed money. I found paper that felt like money paper, and I had this crazy scanner and this crazy printer, and I printed this money that looked fucking real, and it felt real. It felt like a brand new crisp $5 bill, and I didn't want to go too crazy, so I only went with fives. You know, and I passed that off at a few places, you know. I bought a bottle of Pepsi, and I bought, like, you know, just some bullshit. I didn't go crazy. I didn't buy a TV or anything. You know, I just wanted to see if I can do it, and I did it, you know. But in my mind, never did I ever say, like, oh, what I'm doing is illegal and I'm going to get caught. No, someone's watching. Like, I take that out of your fucking head right away, that you're doing anything wrong. That's the most important thing. If you're doing something wrong, get that shit out, man. And so I guess I'll tell this story. I submitted this story. There's a thing online called confabulation, and they take people's stories who are in quarantine right now. And I submitted this story. I've submitted them like a whole bunch of stories, and they won't accept any of them because they're drug related or something. So anyways, this is a little thing that happened a few years ago. And so I lived in a very small town, and then 20 minutes away from the town, there's like this big city. And I was in the city, and I got a ride back to the town that I lived in with a buddy in his truck. I had a book bag. So we're riding back. It's like, when I say it's 20 minutes, it's like a divided highway, split. You know, everybody's going one way. You don't ever got to worry about traffic coming on. People are allowed to go 110 kilometers an hour for the whole duration. And it's 20 minutes of 110. Just fucking cruising. And so everybody goes 120 kind of thing, you know? And so we're cruising. Anyone who knows me knows what I'm talking about. Where I'm talking about. The divided highway that's 20 minutes from the city to the town at the beach. And so I'm driving, and I got a little bit of weed in a baggie, a little bit of crumbs. And so I said to my buddy, I said, oh, I'm gonna twist one up. And he's like, yeah, man, twist one up. So I twisted one up, sparked it. It was dry as fuck. It kind of, you know, it took like 2 or 3 puffs, and then it was gone, past it, had the windows open. And then, I don't know, there's maybe 5 minutes left of our journey. And at the last 5 minutes, we got like an exit with a loop-de-loop, and then another little highway, and then another loop-de-loop to the top of the town. And so we were just like almost at the first exit for the first loop-de-loop. And my buddy goes, oh, fuck. He's like, we're getting pulled over, man. We're getting pulled over. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm looking. I'm like, man, no, we're not, man. There's no one. Man, what are you talking about? There's no one back there. We're not getting pulled over. What the fuck, dude? Like, nothing's gonna happen. And he's like, no, man. He's like, they're right there. And they do this thing sometimes where, like, a cop will be, like, right in your fucking blind spot. Like, right there, yo, where you can just barely see them on the side, right? They know where to hide. And they do that shit where they're, like, running your license plate or whatever. And he's like, no, we're getting pulled over. He's like, guaranteed. He's like, we're fucking getting pulled over. He's like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, man, I'm in the passenger seat, of course. I'm like, man, like, you gotta chill out, dude. Like, you are attracting this negative energy. You're always thinking about cops, and you're always thinking you're doing something wrong, and you're always thinking, like, negatively. And so he's like, no, man, no, we're getting pulled over. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, like, please. And so, yeah, there really was a cop. He really was there. And then the cop goes, like, up in front of us and goes up and rides in front of us for a while. And then, I don't know, he does the same thing. He kind of like, he's hiding out in the corner of the next guy in front of us, maybe running that guy's license plate. And then he drops back behind us again. And my buddy starts freaking out again. Oh, fuck, he's back. He's back. We're getting pulled over. Like, there's no lights on or anything, and he's freaking out. And I'm like, man, like, you are attracting this vibration into our fucking vortex, dude. Like, you gotta get rid of it. So then we're at the first exit, the first loop-de-loop. So we go around the loop-de-loop, and we're just about to take the second loop-de-loop into town, and the lights come on, and that fucking cop pulled us over. So we pull over to the side of the road, and this young guy couldn't have been more than like 25 years old, with like short, stocky, bulky guy, shaved head with a mohawk, just a brushy mohawk, you know, like something you look like, oh, I could like clean my boots on those bristles. Come here, boy, I want to like get this fucking dirt off my shoe, like that kind of shit. And he's got like the Oakley sunglasses on, you know, he's like thinking he's like the fucking Terminator or some shit. And he comes up to the window, and my buddy rolls the window down, and the cop's like, what's going on, boys? And we're like, oh, nothing. He's like, just picked up my buddy here in the city and driving him home. We both live here. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. He's like, gonna have to see your license and registration. And so, like, he didn't give a reason even for, like, pulling us over. It wasn't like you're speeding or anything like that. You know, and my buddy, you know, didn't say anything like, oh, why am I being pulled over? Like, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to argue. He just like, yep, here's the license. Here's the registration. Here's the insurance. Everything's good. He's like, I'll be right back. And he takes the information. He goes back to his cruiser. It's parked behind us. He comes back. He's like, all right. He's like, yeah, everything checked out. He's like, he goes, this is your brother's truck? To my buddy. I was like, yeah, it's my brother's truck. He let me borrow it to come pick him up. He's like, oh, okay, all right. And then he Columboed our ass, yo. He fucking Columboed our ass. He even did the little head scratch. He like went to like walk. He's like, all right, I'll have a good day. And he like tapped on the side of the window, and he started walking around. He goes, oh, just one more thing, fellas. It kind of smells like marijuana in here. Have you boys been smoking marijuana? And we're like, no, of course not, sir. We're upstanding citizens. We would never. Marijuana? No. And he goes, he looks over at me. He goes, what's that on your shirt? And I look down. I was like, what? He goes, don't move. You don't move, and you don't move. And we're like, okay. And he comes around the front of the vehicle, and he comes over to my passenger window where I'm sitting, and he goes, what's that all over your shirt? He goes, there's marijuana crumbs all over your shirt. And I looked down, and I said, what? And I went like this, woo, and like all the little weed crumbs went everywhere onto the ground. I said, no, there's not. And he goes, you know what I think? I think you boys have been out trimming. You boys were out in the bush. You're out at a cabin somewhere out in the woods, and you've been trimming, because it smells like weed in here. You've been trimming. And I'm like, dude, I have not been out in the bush trimming. There's no way. And I'm sitting in the front seat. I had broken my foot skimboarding. Skimboarding is when you take a flat little disc of wood and throw it on a small couple inches of water, and it skims across the top like a skateboard. And they set up ramps and rails and all kinds of shit like that. that you can set up and grind on and do a pop shove at 360 in the water and do little jumps and little ollies and things like that. And it's fun, but I rolled my foot and I broke 4 metatarsals. I broke 4 of my toe bones on my left foot. So I'm in a cast. I have a cast on and I have 2 crutches. And I was like, man, I'm like, I have a fucking cast on my leg. He's like, I'm going to put you under arrest, both of you. Calls for backup. I need backup. I need an extra cruiser. He takes my buddy who's driving, puts my buddy in his own cop car. An extra cruiser shows up. And then he puts me in the back of the extra cruiser, which is like an old man cop had come out. This tall, skinny old man, like gray hair and like a gray mustache, and I can't fit into the back of his cruiser with my leg outstretched. I have to keep it straight out, you know, and I can't barely bend it or nothing. I can't fit in there. So the old man just hangs out with me at the back door as I sit in the back seat with my leg out and the crutches, while the young buck cop goes up into the truck and starts like searching, and he's like, you know, he's reaching in under places you didn't even know you could reach under. He's fucking pulling everything apart. He's ripping the seats open. He's fucking searching everywhere for weed. And like my backpack is there because like I was doing music videos at the time in the city, so I had a bunch of movie props and I had my video cameras and I had tripod. I had all kinds of shit in this backpack, which is also where I had the little crumbs of weed in that little baggie. It had been stuffed back down in there. And so he's digging through the truck and I'm in the back of this cruiser and I'm talking with this old man cop, and he's like, so he's all jovial and everything. So what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm about to move to Los Angeles at the end of this month to go hang out with my buddies there for a few months. And I'm in a band, so I'm going to do comedy. We're going to do band stuff. He's like, oh, a comedian. He's like, I love comedy. He's like, you have anything on YouTube? And I was like, yeah, I do actually. Like, I go, look it up. Dr. J, Halifax, Yuck Yucks. And so my Yuck Yuck set comes up, and this cop is standing there on his phone on the side of the road watching my like a 10-minute Yuck Yuck set that I did. And he's like watching, he's laughing, and then he catches himself. He's like, oh, he's like, I don't know if I should be doing this at work. He's like, but you're fucking funny, man. He's bookmarks it. He's like, I'm going to watch this at home with my wife later. And we're like, you know, we're just chit-chatting and shooting the shit. And then all of a sudden, that young buck cop comes jumping up. I found it! I found the drugs! I found the drugs! I found it! And he comes running over, and he found that little baggie with the just tiniest little bits of crumbs. You couldn't even roll a joint with how much crumbs, like less than 1/100th of a gram was left in there. But there was like an old man pipe, an old man wooden pipe that I had, that a friend had given me. And that was in there. And that was it. And a couple of rolling papers. And then the shit that was in the bag too, because there was this chrome skull mask in the bag and like a black hood and black gloves and then the camera and shit. And he's like, what's this? And I told him, I was like, yo, I make music videos for these rappers in the city and, you know, film some shit sometimes. And he's like, well, we got the drugs. And the old man cop is like, son, you got nothing. And the cop's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And he's like freaking out over like these little bits of crumbs. And the old man cop is just like, look, kid, like, come on, you got nothing. You really got nothing here. He's like, they've been trimming. They've been out in the bush. I know they have. And the old man is just like, you're going to have to let this go. Like, you got to let it go. You got nothing. You have no evidence. You've got crumbs and an old man pipe. Like, you've got nothing. You're harassing these people. This guy's a really nice guy. He's got a broken leg. They're clearly not going out in the bush and fucking crutches and climbing through woods and shit. Look at this guy. And so the young buck cop is like, well, he's like, you're going to have to dump this out. You know, the way they make you dump out your alcohol, like they're not allowed to do it. Like you have to do it for some reason. I don't know, some kind of personal, I don't know what the rule is about that. But so he gives me this baggie and I dump it out and the crumbs go like all over the cop's shirt. And my fucking comedian brain is like, boo, this is it, man. This has been the long setup ever since they fucking pulled you over when he said you got crumbs on your shirt. That was the setup, and now it's the punchline. You get to get him back. You get to say, "Oh, officer, you have crumbs on your shirt. Have you been out trimming?" And man, everything in my body was like, fucking say it. You'll get a laugh from the old man. But then I didn't, man. I was like, no, dude, don't fucking kick this fucking bee's nest. This is a fucking hornet's nest. A bee's nest, some fucking wasps, like you're about to kick the nest and they're all gonna fucking sting you. Don't, just let it go. I know it's funny, but just fucking let it go. And that was like one of the only times that my filter or conscious kicked in and stopped me from doing some dumb shit, because I've done and said mostly all dumb shit that comes to my mind. As soon as something comes to my head, I say it. I've worked really hard at not having a filter. And so, it was so hard. And I was just like, okay. But it all went over his shirt, it went all over his pants, and it got stuck all in his black socks, on his shoes, between his laces and everything, and the wind didn't blow it away. It just kind of stayed there. So I thought that was hilarious. And they let us go, man. That was it. Like, I hobbled back to the truck on my crutches, and we went away, and we went back home. And so the moral of this story is if you get pulled over for doing something, like, lie through your fucking teeth, because we had just spent 3 days out in the bush trimming. And not only that, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was happening. And everybody was dumping buckets of ice water on their head. And I thought it'd be hilarious if I put on a skull mask and instead of ice comes out of the bucket, kilos of weed comes out of the bucket on my head. So there's a video of me with the mask on, sitting in this cabin in the woods with the bucket of weed getting dumped on my head. So if they had looked at the camera and saw the last video that was recorded, they would have seen the whole thing and seen that our whole story was a lie. Whew, man. That is a crazy story. I haven't told that to anybody. I mean, I told a couple close friends who kind of get it, but I haven't told like a mass amount of people that story. And the friend of mine who I was with, he's no longer with us. He passed away. So I kind of feel like, for one, the statute of limitations is long gone on that. And for two, my buddy's no longer with us. So, he can't he can't get in trouble for any of that. Woo! Yeah, man. I've done some crazy, exciting shit in my life, and I'm telling you, you got to keep it out of your head the whole time that you're doing anything wrong. It's the only way if you're ever gonna deal with the bullshit you're trying to deal with. And the same thing is said for being paranoid. Get that out of your head. What's another thing that I quit? I quit being embarrassed. Put that out of your head. These are socially constructed ideas that aren't like a real thing. They're something that people invented to try and get you, make you feel shame. Shame is another one. Shame is a deeply rooted one, and it's hard to get out. That is some fucking bullshit. It's not real. It doesn't exist. Don't be ashamed of anything. Say and do all the things you want to do. Be out there. Be the fucking you that you are deep down inside. And all this spiritual bullshit can all go away, and all of this I'm a fucking meditator kind of guy, and all this bullshit, the underlying fact, all these things are good. There's a lot of good things that are being done, but don't make that your identity, and I feel like I was almost falling into that trap recently with J. Cole Yoga, because I was getting into these niches and these groups where everybody's just so a fucking social justice warrior who's you're under scrutiny the whole time, and it's they don't want you to be you. They want you to be some fucking guru version. that they've created in their head. You know, they want you to be some pure, blissful, someone who doesn't say the fuck word, someone who doesn't go trimming, someone who doesn't steal, someone who doesn't, you know, they want you to have all these like ideals and morals to fit within their little thing that they got going on. And like, that's not real life, man. Real life is just like you going out there and doing the thing, but remaining true to who you are and being your fucking real self while doing it. So this is like some real talk right now. And that was some shit I had to get over, man. And I also felt like leaving the music industry, not being a performer anymore, not going on stage, doing stand-up all the time, you know, just kind of like abandoning that whole lifestyle because of like my memory issues, and I can't remember shit anymore, and I can't memorize like songs I was singing for 10 years are just whole fucking gone. And people are like, oh, you just got to practice more. I'm like, practice more than 10 fucking years. I think something's not working anymore. So, and the same with the comedy I was doing. It just fucking wasn't sticking anymore. I could not get it to solidify. And, you know, you're telling a story and you miss like 12 points that count towards the punchline. Like, the story doesn't make sense. You can't do a rap song and all of a sudden your brain just goes into this fucking dark hole of nothing, this black abyss, and like the words aren't there. And it's not a matter of like, yo, just freestyle a piece. It's like, well, you don't know when that hole is gonna come. You're not ready for a hole. You're just like, and I'm like, I was having these fucking memory issues. So I was like, fuck, I gotta stop, man. I gotta step away. I can't keep doing it. I can't keep doing live shit. And I mean, that really sucked, but I wanted to, man. I wanted to still be a person. I wanted to still be someone about town. Like, hello, I'm still a personality. I'm still a character. I'm still one of you in society. I'm a guy who does things. Like, everybody come see me. Now, I'm not rapping on stage or telling jokes. Now, I'm going to teach you how to bend yourself into a pretzel. Bring you, you know, in a healthy way. So I don't want you to get hurt. And that's kind of like where I was at, man. And I really wanted to like just kind of like transfer all of my skills from stage and comedy into a yoga studio. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have all these students and everyone's going to be laughing and it's going to be great. And I'm going to be on stage kind of. And, but it's going to be more one-on-one and more personal because you get to go around and like bend people around and shit like that. And I really thought that was like the way, you know, until, you know, it all clued in and I was like, man, you were just like trading one stage for another fucking stage, because that's really all this is. This isn't about you want to help people. This isn't about being spiritual. This isn't about anything other than you don't want the fucking ride to end. You want to keep going with this fucking, I'm a person, I'm a somebody, everyone look at me kind of thing, you know? And, you know, they say like, kill your ego. Well, I don't believe in egos. I believe that people act egotistically. Chopping it up and pretending like my ego is this thing, this separately created thing who's running around doing things without my knowledge is fucking bullshit. Because I have to hold myself accountable. I am whole and complete. I'm not split and divided. Like, I'm a Pisces, yo. I already have inner turmoil. My two fishies are like swimming. If anyone knows, the logo for a Pisces is two fish, like almost like 69ing, like spinning around. They're pulling from each other all the time, but at the same time, that pull is a beautiful dance in this like circular motion. But, you know, it's very like conflicted. Like, yes, I want to go up, but I want to go down while I'm going up. And it's like, what? Man, you got to fucking figure out what you want in life. You got to pick a side. And my sides don't have sides. My sides are spheres. So it's like, what the fuck is a side even, you know? So I already struggle with that kind of shit. But then to go and like completely say that I'm split and compartmentalized, that, oh, you have this ego piece that's doing things without you knowing, your ego is running away from you and you're getting a swollen head and you think you're this thing that you're not. And it's like, no, I fucking don't. I think I'm one person and I think I'm totally at fault and I'm totally responsible and able to be held accountable for everything. And I'm not going to put blame on some foreign concept of an ego, you know, when it was fucking me. I'm the one who said those words. I'm the one who did those things. If I offended you, I'm sorry. If I didn't offend you, you're welcome for the entertainment. And, So that's where I'm at now in this like whole life, yo. And I'm glad I just did this little podcast to kind of like enlighten everybody and tell this little tale. But we're getting near the end, and I'm already at 40 minutes, so I'm going to let this thing go. And I might take a little walk around this lake, around this park. It is so nice out right now. Whew. That's it, y'all, for the first. Did I do one of these already? I did one of these already. Yeah, the first one was a solo cast. And then I did Halifax, and then I did Dartmouth, and now here we are again. Any whoozin'? That's it, y'all, for another live recording of the Sonny Starr Show. Next time on the Sonny Starr Show, we are going to teach you about chanting the bing bong. Chant the bing bong for your chance at eternal bliss and happiness. Bing bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing 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 bong 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 bing bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bing bong bong bing bong bing bing bong bing bong bing bong bong bing 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 bong bing 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 bong bong bing bong bong bing bong bing bong